Hello everybody, my name is Dee and welcome to Books and Quirks. Today is Friday, so it's time for our Friday reads. So it's been a couple of weeks and I have been able to read a few things, so I thought I would give you an update as to what kind of creepy things I've been reading for the month of October, which is my favorite month. I absolutely love everything having to do with the fall and Halloween. So let me just get right into it. So the very first thing that I read, and I actually started this on the 1st of October, and I read it pretty quickly, and that was Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Nevernight is a story, it's a society that kind of mimics the old Roman society, back in the day in the BC era. So it's a society that's very much run in that type of political setting. Everyone has, a very old type Roman name, and they, have their senators, everything that existed back in Roman times. And it's a very tyrannical society, and this follows Mia at the beginning of this first book. This is the first book in a trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy. Mia is witnessing her father's, the hanging of her father. So her father was sentenced to death because he spoke out against the leaders of the society, basically for their tyrannical behavior. And for that, he was sentenced to death for treason. And after his death, Mia's mother, was also killed, and Mia also would have been killed if she had not escaped. And through a series of events, she joins this organization, which kind of trains her to become an assassin. And she, as she gets older, she wants to seek revenge for her family. This is a really good book. I mean, in my opinion, I thought it was really good. It was a reread for me. I read it like 5 years ago, but I needed to reread it in order to go on in the trilogy, which I do want to do now. So as I was reading, it kind of all came back to me. I really enjoyed it the second time around, and I cannot wait to get to the second book. I don't have it yet, but the second book is called God's Grave, and I still have to get it. But once I do, I will be going on to that second book, and then the third, I think, is already out. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book. The next book that I read was House of Furies by Madeline Roux. This was a really interesting book too. So this follows a girl named Louisa Ditton, and in the beginning of the book, she is offered a position as a maid in this grand manor house. It takes place in the UK. And in sort of this grand manor house that also serves as a boarding house, so kind of like a hotel, a little bit. But anyway, so she's offered this position. She's really, she was on the streets before, so it's a position that she really jumps towards. And she finds out pretty quickly upon arriving at this manor house that things are not as they seem. And people that go there seem to meet their end, meaning that they die. And the people that go there are not good people either. So that's really all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to give too much away. There is a sequel called Court of Shadows, which I will be getting soon because I want to see what happens with this character. I mean, this book, you can read it as a standalone. I mean, it does kind of have a good, well-rounded ending, but we will get to see more of her adventures in this house in the second book. So yeah, definitely a good read and a little creepy too. So it was a good read for October. The next book that I finished was Phantoms by Dean Koontz. This was really good. Oh my goodness, it was so perfect for October. It was so creepy and scary. This book follows Jenny and her little sister Lisa. Their parents have recently passed away. Jenny is an adult. She's about 10 years older than her sister Lisa, and she's a doctor. So she goes to get her sister, after her mother passes, and she will be the legal guardian for her sister. Anyway, she lives in this small town in, where is it, Colorado? Oh no, Snowfield, California. So I think that's a fictional town. But anyway, she, after picking up her sister, she goes back to Snowfield with her sister Lisa. And when they get there, things are strange. It's eerily quiet. There's no noise, and it's like a weekend day. Like there's no people. And her sister quickly find out that the town has seemingly something happened. Either people are missing or they find them dead. So there's nobody around. It seems like Jenny and Lisa are the only people alive in town, and things go from there. She finds finally a telephone that was working because all the telephone lines are dead, and is able to call the police station in the next neighboring town, and they kind of bring their forces in, but whatever malevolent forces in this town is after them as well. So it was really, really good. I absolutely loved this. I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I'm not quite sure, but oh my God, it was perfect for October. And I'm so glad that I read this. So this book was kind of a reread for me also. I mean, it wasn't kind of, it was a reread for me also. But the thing is, I read this more than 10 years ago, and I did not remember anything about it. So it was, for me, it was kind of like a new read. And so good, in my opinion. If you like scary, creepy stories, you're going to like this. If you don't, then you're not going to like this. So the next book that I read was not really a scary story. It was more like a mystery, and that was The Lake House by Kate Morton. So this book is a part historical mystery, part current mystery. So this book takes place in 2 timelines. In the present timeline, we follow Sadie Sparrow, who is a retired, or not retired, she's not retired. She's kind of on leave because of a case that went haywire for a little while, but she's a detective, and she is staying with, while she's on leave, on vacation, holiday, whatever you want to call it, in Cornwall, she stays with her grandfather. And when walking one day, she comes upon this old kind of manor house that used to belong to a very well-to-do family in the early 20th century, in the early 1900s, called the Edivane family. And then it follows a second timeline, which goes back in time to the time between World War I, or before World War I, 1914 to 1933. And you see this family, back then in their heyday, they were a very well-to-do family. They did, they always had like these lavish events. And in 1933, the Edivane's youngest son, Theo, who was 11 months old, just seemingly vanished without a trace. And the case was never solved. And the family kind of, abandoned the house, when they couldn't find Theo, and went back to London. And it's sort of a mystery unraveling from there. So this boy went missing. There were search parties, there was, plenty of investigation done, interviews with everyone. And it just seemingly, he just seemingly, vanished into thin air without any trace. So when in the present time, when Sadie comes upon this house that still kind of looks, even though it's 80 years later, 70 years later, it still looks like it was just, it's still in the same state it was in 1933 when the family left. Like things are still, out on the tables and things, even though it's, dusty and there are bugs crawling everywhere in the house now. But yeah, it's just in the same kind of state. And she becomes intrigued and she starts to ask questions and then sort of reinvestigate the case, even though it's 70 years later. And the children that were alive, the children of the Edivane family, the other children, aside from the son that disappeared, that were alive in the 30s, in the 20s and 30s, are still alive now, although they're very elderly. And so she's able to kind of get some firsthand accounts and she kind of contacts the family. So that's the only information I'm going to give you. It was really good. It was a little bit long. I gave it 4 stars only because I felt like it was too long. There were parts in the middle that kind of dragged out a bit. But for the most part, I really loved it. I couldn't guess what happened to him. I had different theories, going through the book of what might have happened that fateful night, but I didn't expect what I found at the end. So it was really, really good. I mean, I still felt like it was in the October vein because it was a mystery about a disappearance. It kind of fits the October kind of month a little bit in that way. But it wasn't scary or anything like that. So yeah, it was just the mystery and trying to find out what happened to Theo. And you kind of get flashbacks of the time of the Edivane family. The parents and the children of all that occurred in the early 1900s up until that fateful night. So I really loved this book. It was really, really good, and I'm so glad I read it. And yeah, I thought it was a really good book. So right now I only am reading 2 books and I can't give you much info because I just started both, and that is How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. I just have my phone out because I don't remember the author. Adriana Mather. And this is around the Salem witch trial. So it follows Samantha Mather, who is a descendant. She moves with her mother to Salem, back to Salem. That was her parents' hometown. And as they're moving back, she finds out that she is connected to the Salem witch trials. I'm not sure if she knew before, but anyway, she is a descendant of Cotton Mather, who, if you're familiar with the Salem witch trials, was a big instigator in getting, things rolling with the witch accusations in 1692, I think it was. And then at her new school are also the descendants. That's what they call themselves, and those are the direct descendants of the people that were hung and killed in 1692 on accusations of being witches. So I just started it. I'm only a few pages in, and it's good so far. I think it's going to be an entertaining read. It's just a single book. I don't think it's part of a series, although I should check on that just to make sure. It's only like 300, a little over 300 pages, so I don't see why I won't finish it this coming weekend. But yeah, so that's one I'm reading. And the second book that I'm reading is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. So this is the 3rd book in the Diviner series. The Diviners are people that can kind of see things that other people can't. Like, it follows Evie in the first book. Evie is a diviner. She is able to touch an object and see all of its past, like who owned it, where the object has been. She's able to kind of see a movie in her head of everything that occurred with that object. And there are other types of diviners too. So this is the 3rd book, so I don't want to give anything away of this 3rd book. And anyway, I just started it, so I don't really know what it's about yet. I mean, it follows the same characters. It follows, in the first book, they take out, Evie's uncle kind of has this weird, like, occult museum, and they find a Ouija board. We all know what a Ouija board is. And they inadvertently wind up conjuring a spirit from that Ouija board. And it's all kinds of evil came out of that. And they had to find out how to defeat the evil. So yeah, it's really good. Each book kind of, follows where the previous book left off. This is the third. There's one more after this, the fourth book. I don't know if it's out yet. I have to check. But yeah, so I'm just getting started with this book also this weekend. I don't know how much I'm going to finish because I will be traveling all next week, but I hope to get a lot of reading done this weekend before I go away. It's a business trip, so it's not anything fun. But anyway, that is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you're reading, especially if you like kind of scary, creepy stories. I've been watching people's videos of, you know, their kind of October TBR with that kind of creepy theme around it. So I got some ideas from that as well. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.